Today's episode is brought to you by Proud Wolves. It is Proud Wolves' mission to build stronger local communities by using global systems. Our main focus is the integration of children in the local community to boost their sense of purpose and belonging and reduce mental health issues and suicide rates. We want to make sure that children all over the world have free access to cultural activities and sport. Proud Wolves helps organizations to change their income models and stops them relying on membership fees for children. Find Proud Wolves on Google for more information. Now, get ready for your All-NBA Team of the Week. Goeiedag, enchantée, and welcome to this week's episode of A24 Presents All-NBA Team of the Week. We did it, people. We've made it through another horrible year and successfully started 2022. Hopefully the world has turned a corner and we can all start to focus on newer and better things in life, love and basketball. The last few weeks have been very strange around the NBA courts, mainly because so many players have been placed in health and safety protocols and teams had to add G League players left, right and center. It felt like watching the Replacements movie with Keanu Reeves, playing out in real life. But to his credit, Adam Silver has pushed through and we can finally see some normalcy returning to the league. Instead of reviewing these strange games, we decided to set 5 New Year's resolutions for the NBA teams for the remainder of the season. Get ready for your All-NBA Team of the Week. Before we move on, I'd like to talk to you about A24. A24 is created by Proud Wolves with the intention to provide children with an opportunity to learn and play basketball at their own pace and completely free. We have created different courses which are available on the website to improve their basketball skills. But our real mission is to help disadvantaged children by building and upgrading basketball courts around the world and supply them with basketball gear to play with. Come and find our website and grab a t-shirt to support the course. Now, let's get back to the show.
Pick one!
Our first resolution is trade. The trade deadline is only 5 weeks away, February 10th to be exact, and we haven't really seen any movement since the end of August when the Bulls traded Markkanen to the Cavaliers, who sent Larry Nance Jr. to Portland, and they sent Derrick Jones Jr. back to Chicago. Yes, we have seen some movements after that, but not one trade that could potentially move the needle. After so many trade rumors throughout the first half of the season, many fans, including me, are hungry for a real trade. Rajon Rondo for a roster spot in cap space is really not cutting it. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, we do have to keep in mind that all front offices around the league have been swamped in the last month, just keeping their roster filled with at least 8 players. Players are placed in health and safety protocols continuously, and teams have struggled to find replacement players. Just have a look at the players' transaction page on NBA.com. Keeping track of who's who and who's where is nearly impossible. Hopefully, we have seen the peak of cases around the league and rosters will stabilize over the next couple of weeks, so front offices can concentrate on making those big trades to win championships. Talking about winning championships, there are a few teams out there that need to make a move to be competitive this offseason. Of all the teams, I see only 3 teams strong enough to go all the way with their current roster. Obviously, the 2 teams that played the finals last season, the Bucks and the Suns, and the Warriors are the 3rd team, although we still need to see Clay return. They might want to make a move closer to the deadline after all. Everyone else needs to make a move, especially the Nets and the Jazz. Both teams that have a lot on the line if they don't win this season. Half a Kyrie would not be enough in the playoffs, and KD and Harden need a deeper roster. In Salt Lake City, the Jazz prove year after year they have a fantastic team for the regular season, but when the playoffs come around, they fall short. I'm not sure who or what they need, but they need something. And obviously, we still have the whole Ben Simmons saga that needs to be sorted out too. Time to get trading, teams.
Pick 2!
Our second resolution is to show some respect for the regular season. It is a long season, 82 games is no joke, and I don't mind that teams try to preserve themselves as much as possible. But it has been very obvious that the teams don't really care about what happens before Christmas. Of course, we can't look at the last 3 weeks because they were a complete disaster for everyone. But certain teams have been turning it on and off from the start of the season. Yes, there are excuses. The Bucks had to play without Middleton, Holiday and Lopez. The Sixers are without Simmons. The Nets are without Kyrie. The Lakers have a completely new roster. The Nuggets have been playing 1-on-5 for the majority of the season now. I mean, every team can call on some sort of excuse. But at some point, that's all they are, excuses. I mean, just take a look at the standings. The Knicks and Hawks, 4 and 5 in last year's standings, have both fallen below the playing games and are really struggling to put anything together on a court. Even a career high of 53 by Trae Young is not enough to win a game. The Celtics, in the conference finals 3 out of the 5 last seasons, are falling apart in front of our eyes. In the West, the Blazers and the Clippers can't seem to play without their superstar. The Blazers are 2-5 without Lillard, and the Clippers are 5-7 without Paul George. But they haven't been all that special with him either. They need Kawhi back. And then the Pelicans, who are supposed to have a team to help Zion get to the playoffs, are embarrassingly bad without him. It is safe to assume that most teams are ready to turn it on, now that we're nearly at the half of the regular season. The battle for playoff seeding and playing games can begin. This was a great success last season, and I'm looking forward to the final push of the teams after the All-Star break. But I agree with Adam Silver if he says that the NBA needs a mid-season tournament to increase interest around the league. Only, this tournament should not be additional to the regular season. It needs to replace a portion of it. Take away 15 games or so, and use those to hold a tournament. It will make the regular season more exciting because the teams have less games to qualify for the playoffs, and it will increase excitement around fans if their team manages to win an additional prize halfway through the season. And all of this without any extra pressure on the players. Using an appealing prize where both finalists of the mid-season tournament automatically have home court advantage in the playoffs should be enough to motivate even the biggest doubters.
Big three.
Our third resolution is to show older, experienced players the respect they deserve. This one is more aimed at fans and media instead of the teams, and I'm sure everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. The Lakers are having a hard time making their roster work. The team is old, with a lot of players having to play differently than they did earlier in their career. LeBron is now playing center, Westbrook needs to become a pass-first point guard, Carmelo has to be a catch-and-shoot specialist who waits in the corner, Dwight Howard needs to be 10 years younger, and Taylor Horton-Tucker needs to be Alex Caruso. Turnovers are through the roof, easy shots are being missed, and winnable games are lost. Everybody has given up on this team, and yet, I think the Lakers are not finished yet. Before the start of the season, I made a prediction that this team will stand or fall with Anthony Davis. This is the year that he has to stand up and become the number one on this team, and so far, he hasn't. Obviously, he's injured right now, but before his injury, he was not playing like a number one. The Lakers and LeBron believe that AD can be a number one. That's the bet they made when they traded for him. If they're right, the Lakers will be fine. But if they're not, they should try and trade him as fast as they can. Me personally, I don't believe AD can be the number one on a team. Don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic player, but he doesn't have that over my dead body mentality that a number one needs. Luckily for the Lakers, LeBron is not washed up just yet and seems capable of dragging them to the finals one more time. Another prediction I made about the Lakers back in November is that we shouldn't really expect them at full steam until after Christmas. LeBron is famous for taking things slow during the regular season, and looking at Westbrook's last two seasons, in Houston and Washington, he was horrible at the start of the season, but completely turned it around in the second half. Who's to say he won't do the same this time around? Granted, watching him missing open dunks in transition is worrying, but I stand by my prediction. The Lakers are only going to turn on this month, and they are only half a game out of the top six. Nothing is lost for these guys. They will figure it out.
Pick four.
Our fourth resolution is to give young guys time to develop. Teams are now drafting kids into the league, and fans are expecting them to contribute immediately. When they struggle, they are cast aside as useless, and people move on to their new toy. The best example is possibly James Wiseman, the number 2 pick in the 2020 draft. In comparison to the other 2 picks in the top 3, Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball, Wiseman looked really bad when he played for the Warriors. He struggled to learn the system and couldn't maintain the level of a decent NBA player. The result for Wiseman was that he was despised by his home fans and ridiculed around the league. A bit rough for someone who hadn't really played any basketball the year before he was drafted. Lucky for Wiseman, the Warriors are a fantastic organization, and they will not simply dump him. Rumors are that they like what they see, and he's still part of their plans for the future. But in most franchises, this would have been the end of Wiseman. Other names that come to mind are Dennis Smith Jr., dumped by Dallas in the Porzingis trade, and now in Portland trying to find his feet. Markelle Fultz, dumped by the Sixers because they didn't want to fix his mental issues, and he was finally finding his form in Orlando when he tore his ACL. D'Angelo Russell, a Kyrie light, passed around the league like a hot potato. And of course, Andrew Wiggins, who was given way too much attention just because he was a number 1 pick. He should never have been the number 1 pick, but he does deserve his place in the league. The point I'm trying to make is that some of the biggest success stories from the draft happen because the team is invested in the player's future and they're patient. The biggest examples in recent history are Giannis, Curry, and Jokic. When Giannis was drafted by the Bucks, nobody expected him to win 2 MVPs and a Finals MVP alongside 5 All-NBA selections. When Curry was drafted by the Warriors, nobody expected him to break the all-time three-point record. And when the Nuggets drafted Jokic at 41, they didn't think he would become the cornerstone of their franchise and an MVP. Not all draft picks are LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, or Ja Morant. Give these youngsters time and surround them by experienced vets. It's the only way to get them to reach their true potential.
Pick 5.
Our fifth resolution is to enjoy the quality of the league because it is sky high right now. There is so much talent in the league, it is incredible. Young players are reaching higher levels earlier, and older players extend their careers by reinventing their game. Steph Curry broke the all-time three-point record in Madison Square Garden to add to the fairy tale. Josh Giddey became the youngest player in the league to record a triple-double after breaking LaMelo's record, who broke it last season. In fact, the 5 youngest players to record a triple-double in the league all did it in the last 5 years. The Grizzlies recorded the biggest win in NBA history after beating OKC by 73 points. These are just a few of the remarkable feats that happened this year, and the league has been on record-breaking course for a while now. I'm afraid that a lot of people are looking at this as the new normal, but we might be in for a surprise. Yes, the future of the league is secure in the hands of Giannis, Luka, Trey, Ja, SGA, and a whole bunch of other young superstars. So when LeBron, KD, Curry, Kawhi, and the rest decide to hang up their shoes, we don't have to worry. And the way the league is now expanding the G League program and started recruiting in different countries and around the world is very encouraging. But these things ebb and flow. There is a future ahead of us where the level of NBA will not be as special as this generation. We won't be short of superstar players, and hopefully the recruitment process of the league will raise the floor of the fringe players, but I'm worried the all-round role players will slowly disappear. Players are specializing and getting overpaid for a single aspect of the game, while they are lacking the necessary skills to contribute fully. It will get harder and harder to surround the great players with good all-round role players, and a direct result of that will be that the game will suffer. Hopefully I'm wrong, and the game will improve because of specialization. Either way, the level of play we can see on the courts right now is worth cherishing. Happy New Year, everyone. This was our All-NBA Team of the Week. Please share the podcast and give us 5 stars. If you have any questions, contact us on a24office@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you next week. Ballers out.